Hey guys, Tina here. Today I'm coming to you with the first video in a series of recommendation videos that I will be posting throughout November. The theme is going to be romance novels. I know November is not the most romantic month, but you know, why not? Let's make it such. I'm talking a lot about making my reading history video, but I still haven't gotten around to doing it. But despite that, you know, the fact is that years back I was basically reading only romance novels, and I do have a few recommendations. And if, you know, for some reason you sometimes want to pick one of those novels up and you do not know where to start, maybe these videos will help you. Each video in the series will be presenting a certain subgenre of romance novels. The first one will be contemporary, then historical, and the last one will be paranormal, urban fantasy sort of books. So yeah, let's get into the contemporary ones. The first author that I would like to recommend to you is Julie James. Her books are just funny and just a joy to read. You know, the characters in these books usually do not like each other at first. There's hate between them, or some dislike, or some past history that, you know, just pushes them apart. But throughout the book, you know, because of the circumstances, they're drawn together, and you know, they have to learn how to work together, or just somehow compromise, and eventually, naturally, they fall in love. You know, Julie is also a lawyer, so she puts a lot of her knowledge of that into her books, and usually there's some aspect of that in her books. Actually, she's writing a series that involves FBI agents and lawyers, so you know, that's interesting as well. Then we have Susan Wiggs, who is another one of my favorite authors. She, you know, has a lot of standalones that you can try, but she also is writing a series that is called the Lakeshore Chronicles, and they're based around a fictional place, which is the Willow Lake. And the place is just idyllic, and I actually would love to live there. And you know, aside from the location, there's also this Bellamy family that usually plays a role in these books. Now, these books are companion books. You know, you don't have to just go from one to the other. You can skip some. It's, you know, it's not necessary, you know, to just read them all. You can just try one and maybe, you know, decide to like it. And I haven't read one of her books in a while, but yeah, when I did, I just enjoyed them. They were so much fun to read. Next we have Susan Elizabeth Phillips, who writes romantic comedy. Her books are just so funny, and I would laugh out loud often while reading them. Her heroines are quirky, sometimes kind of awkward and, you know, clumsy, and they're just so much fun to read about. She has a series of books out called Chicago Stars, which revolves around an NFL team, and those are fun as well. I have a few here, actually, not necessarily all from that series, because I kind of forgot which books go with it, but I really enjoy them, so that's why I kept them. But the first one is This Heart of Mine, which, yeah, it's definitely part of that series. And then I have Lady Be Good, and this one was so great. It's about this proper English lady who comes to Texas, and she has to deal with this, I think he's a golf player, and he's a bit of a rascal, and they're just so much fun to read about this couple, really. And the last one I have is Heaven, Texas, which, well, I think it's another sports book, yeah. So yeah, these were so much fun to read, and I enjoy them, and as I said, that's why I kept them. The next author is Suzanne Brockmann, who is the author of one of my favorite series ever, and that is the Troubleshooter series. This is an action-packed series that revolves around a SEALs team and its members. So, you know, so you have a lot of alpha males, and each book sort of showcases one of the couples, and you know, there's usually a team member that, you know, there's a mission that the guys have to go on, and there's the love interest, and they somehow get involved. And throughout these books you get to see then the progression of other couples as well. And actually my #1 favorite couple ever is from this series, and I will post well, actually I will link the video about my favorite couples that I did somewhere up there and down there, obviously, so you can go check that out. And if you like action-packed books, definitely pick these ones up. The next author I'm going to mention is Sandra Brown. Now, she used to write, you know, strictly romance books, such as Texas Sage, A Whole New Light, and Adam's Fall. These are just romance novels. Again, a couple that somehow gets together, and I don't know, I just love her writing, and these books were so much fun to me, and they were one of the first ones that I actually picked up when I started reading romance novels. Then she switched over to writing romantic suspense, which is what she's mostly writing now, I think. So you know, you have a couple and there's a mystery, a murder or a kidnapping or whatever, and I have only 2 of those books here. The first one is Best Kept Secret, which is about this attorney that comes to her mother's hometown. Her mother was murdered years back, and now she's trying to figure out who killed her. And the last one is Slow Heat in Heaven, which is as well about this woman that comes home to her mansion, basically where she lived with her parents. Her father is dying, and there's this guy, of course, that is involved as well, and you know, she's trying to figure out how to save their business and things like that. I definitely love these books. Sandra Brown was always one of my favorite authors, and I occasionally, you know, pick one of these books up again and reread it and just have as much fun as I did the first time around. Similarly to Brown, Karen Roberts also writes romantic suspense. She also writes historical books, but I think she's more well known for suspense. And one of those books that I really loved and kept is One Summer, and this tells the story of Johnny, who has been in jail for I don't know how many years. He went in jail when he was still a high schooler for a murder that he didn't commit, and he returns to his hometown to figure out who the actual killer is, and he gets involved with Rachel, who used to be his teacher in high school, but you know, nothing happened back then, but now there's attraction between them, and you know, things start happening, and you know, the killer strikes again, and they have to figure out as fast as they can who the killer actually is. I love this book. I have read a few others of hers, and yeah, they were good, but this one was always my favorite. Elizabeth Lowell is another author that used to write strictly contemporary historical romance, but then switched on to mystery, and I have to say that I haven't read any of her mystery books. I did kind of focus on, or back then I read her contemporary and historical romances, and I liked a lot of those, but my favorite has always been To the Ends of the Earth, which has a gorgeous cover, and it's just a simple story about a man and a woman who meet, and they really like each other and they're together. Both of them have sort of different ideas how to live their life, and that sometimes clashes, and there's a divide between them occasionally, and you know, they have to figure things out. But it's one of my favorite books. I read it such a long time ago. It's again one of those that I've read as I was starting to read romance novels, and well, it's still here. So the last author I'm going to mention is Joan Johnston. She's perhaps better known for her historical romance books. They usually take place in the 1800s in America or in England, but my favorite of hers is a contemporary book, and it's called The Outcast, which tells the story of Ben, who is a former army sniper, and he comes home with PTSD and has a hard time dealing with that, and he's forced to go and talk to the psychiatrist, who is called Anne Schuster, and you know, they do not like each other. There's conflict, there's attraction, and you know, things happen. And I know I really love this book. I haven't read it in a while, but I'm keeping it for a reason, so yeah. So those were all the contemporary romance authors that I wanted to talk to you about in this video. If I come up with any others, I will make a new video. Yes, I hope you know, this is a helpful video to those who want to try romance. I know it's a sort of frowned upon genre, you know, looked down on, but I don't know, sometimes it is fun. As I said, many reading slumps have been, you know, pushed away with these books, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in my next one. Bye!